In 1996, Super Mario 64 taught the world how to move in 3 dimensions. It set the rules. The analog stick, the camera, the hub world. But we don't talk about the camera and how bad it was. For 2 years, it sat on the throne, unchallenged. But in 1998, a British developer known as Rareware looked at the bump at the Plumber's Kingdom and said, "We can do that, but we can do it bigger, prettier, and with a lot more attitude." Enter Banjo-Kazooie. It wasn't just a clone, it was a refinement. A game that took the 3D platforming formula and injected it with the British wit, a fairy tale aesthetic, and a symphonic obsession with collecting things. It was the birth of the collectathon, a genre that dominated the late 90s, and the early 2000s as well. Today we're heading back to Spiral Mountain to see how a bear and a bird perfected the platformer, why the music still sticks in your head, and whether the Jiggy Hunt is a worth the effort. Now this is where I'm gonna admit that Banjo-Kazooie doesn't have a nostalgic hold on me, primarily because I did not actually play this game when I was a kid. I did own a 64, but really the only 2 collectathon, 3D platformer games that I played on 64 were Mario and Donkey Kong, as far as I can remember. I think those were the only 2. Well, I guess Toy Story 2 would be considered a 3D collector as well, but I was too stupid to actually play that game, so I never actually got past like the first couple of levels, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, yeah, so I'm going into this video without the rose-tinted glasses, the nostalgia feeling for this game, because again, I didn't play this when I was a kid, and I think playing it now, I would have loved it as a kid. Especially since 3D platformers are my favorite genre of video game, whether that be Mario, Jak and Daxter, Sly Cooper, Ratchet and Clank. It's one of those things that I really loved, especially growing up. So I did enjoy the game, but I didn't enjoy it to the extent of someone that played it as a kid, type of thing. To understand Banjo-Kazooie, you have to look at what it was supposed to be. It began its life on the Super Nintendo as an isometric RPG called Project Dream, starring a boy named Edison fighting pirates. It was Rare's attempt to make something grand and cinematic, but as development shifted to Nintendo 64, and the team realized the RPG mechanics were clunky in 3D. Rare was in its golden age, fresh off the massive success of Donkey Kong Country and GoldenEye 007. They had the resources and the confidence to pivot. They scrapped the boy, kept the animal sidekicks, and looked at Super Mario 64. They decided to condense the sprawling RPG world into tight, dense platforming sandboxes. The pirate thing was largely ditched, save for a specific level, and the hero became a honey-loving bear named Banjo. Kazooie, the Breagle, was a late addition. Originally, the team wanted Banjo to have a double jump, so they gave him wings. Then they thought, why not just put a bird in his backpack? This decision defined the entire game. It wasn't just a mechanic, it was the birth of a dynamic duo. The polite, dopey bear and the sarcastic, rude bird creating a personality clash that gave the game its unique charm. And I'm not saying this started it, but I'd argue, or I'm guessing, that because of this game, it influenced a bunch of dynamic duos. You have Ratchet and Clank, Jak and Daxter, Sly Cooper and his gang. But what do you consider that dynamic? Yeah, it's not a dynamic duo, but you get what I'm trying to say, right? Like, I feel like a bunch of games added like a sidekick because of Banjo and Kazooie. Because before them, there wasn't really a dynamic duo. Would Sonic Heroes be considered kind of like that? Because I mean, in previous Sonic games, it was literally just Sonic, right? Yeah, you would play as Knuckles or Tails, but wouldn't that be like the second player? I don't remember, if I'm being honest. But yeah, I think Banjo-Kazooie set the the stage for developers to have like the buddy duo in their games. Oh no, wait, I'm stupid. Donkey Kong Country had fucking Diddy Kong. Yeah, So never mind. I think they just implemented their. Okay, you know what? No, I take it back. Yes, Donkey Kong technically did it first, but I feel the way that Banjo-Kazooie did it was what influenced more people, more developers to implement that dynamic duo. Because in other games, you can play as those other characters. Ratchet and Clank, Ratchet uses Clank as the helicopter or like his water jet pack thing. Sometimes you can play as Clank. And then for Jak and Daxter, in the first Jak, Daxter was kind of useless. He didn't do shit, right? And it wasn't until like the second game, when Daxter was a bit more playable. So this is why I write a script, because then I start talking randomly when I want to add stuff prior to scripts. It doesn't sound all robotic. But TLDR, I think Banjo and Kazooie influenced a lot of dynamic duos, whether it was in the way that Banjo-Kazooie did it, or in their own unique way. Let's move on. The Talon Trot might be the most important move in 3D platforming history. It solved the issues of slow traversal in large 3D worlds without needing a run button. It made movement feel snappy and precise. The controls were complex for the time, utilizing every button on the N64's Trident controller, but they felt intuitive. You felt like you were piloting a Swiss Army knife of platforming tools. Now, this is gonna be I guess, a little bit of a hot take. Even though, like, the controls were intuitive for the time, I think in today's standards, again, I understand the game was made 30 years ago, but for today, they were fine. I did not play the game on official N64 hardware, as you can see and tell by the fucking footage. I played the PC port that was released recently, actually on GitHub, and the port really did refine and fine-tune some of the controls that made it a bit easier to play, actually. One of the things I really liked was that the camera was analog, meaning that you can just hold the stick and the camera just you'll see in the footage how the camera is like really fucking smooth. If you compare that to actual N64 controller, or if I was playing on an N64 emulator, I have to constantly move the stick because the camera was segmented, because the N64 controller didn't have a second stick for that. But other than that, I think the controls were fine. They weren't anything crazy. There were some minor annoyances, but nothing worth shitting on for. So the game had other moves besides the base moves, right? They had moves that were given to you by Mumbo Jumbo, the shaman that transformed Banjo into a termite, a crocodile, and a pumpkin. Now this is where I'm gonna maybe actually get hate on, for reals this time. I did not care for the transformations, not gonna lie. I think they were kind of gimmicky and pointless. I didn't like how the termite was, or all of them, the movement was so hindered. It felt so fucking slow, going back and forth at that default fucking speed. And you only use them once, maybe twice per level, and not every. Thankfully, not every level had them. If every level had them, I'd be fucking annoyed. It's I don't know if you guys ever played. Fuck, I forgot the name. It was a PS2 Spyro game, so it was ass, obviously. But in one of the Spyro games, there was a part in every level where you had to play as a stupid bear or a stupid gopher. That shit was fucking annoying. So it wasn't as bad as that. If you know what I'm talking about, you know that shit was fucking terrible. Anyway, yeah, okay, the Mumbo Jumbo transformations, I don't know, dude. I think they were kind of stupid. There was no point in having them. They weren't a detriment to my gameplay experience, but they were just man, I gotta do this shit. I don't know. They weren't implemented that well, if I'm being completely honest. They could have done so many things with it. Going out of the world and going back in to get a Jiggy, that was fucking stupid. You're just giving me a Jiggy, man. It's outside the world. Why do I need to fucking go back become a termite, climb up the wall, and go back. Like maybe I sound like I'm complaining about the littlest things, but I'll be honest here. I don't think they were that good. They were not good. Banjo-Kazooie is the reason the term collectathon exists. In modern gaming, we sometimes roll our eyes at map markers, but here, collecting was the gameplay. There are notes to open doors, jiggies, or the puzzle pieces if you don't play this game, to unlock worlds, mumbo tokens for transformations, and Jinjos to rescue. It sounds overwhelming, but Rare balanced it perfectly. Which is so funny to say because we all know what happened after this. They released DK64 after this. DK64 released in '99, so a year after this game came out. So I'd say that both games were in development at the same time, or they literally just made a DK64 in a year. But I highly doubt that. Anyway, I say it's funny and ironic that Banjo-Kazooie was actually balanced. There weren't like a million things to collect. You had the puzzle pieces, you had the Jinjos, and also the mumbo jumbo, the mumbo heads weren't even like an official collector. You just needed them to use as currency. So I don't think technically they're not really a part of a game to collect. Anyway, and they had the Jinjos, like I said, and the notes. And honestly, like it's not a lot of shit to collect. It's honestly not that bad. Only a few things to collect, and you're good. Nothing crazy. Super Mario 64 is the most bare bones of all, even though 64 was the one that introduced 3D platforming to the world. Because in Mario 64, you only had to collect the stars, the power stars. Technically, the gold coins and the red coins are also collectible, but are they really a collectible? So yeah, they did it pretty well with Banjo, but they completely fucked it with DK64. And arguably, a lot of people say that DK64 was the game that killed the 3D platformer, that killed the 3D collectathon, because the insane amount of shit that the game had. You had, 5 golden bananas per hero, a fuck ton of the color bananas. I don't even remember how many. And then you 15 of the blueprints per character? You see, I don't even know the exact numbers. That was how much shit the game had. What else did they have? The golden bananas, the blueprints, the fucking banana medals as well. And then they made you play their old school games. That shit was fucking annoying, especially as a kid. You had to play that shit twice? Oh my god, bro. I love DK64. I like it because I do have that nostalgic rose-tinted glasses. And I'll talk about this in more detail when I make a video on DK64 when I replay it, sometime in the future. And I understand why people shit on it all the time. And I completely agree. There's so much shit to it. But because I have that nostalgic feeling and I genuinely like the game, because let's be honest, a normal person is not gonna fucking 100% this game, or 110? 102% the game. Normal people. If you're a fucking, achievement hunter or a completionist, and yeah, you're gonna spend your entire lifetime collecting every fucking thing in the game. But I was not. I just fucking casual playthrough, bro. Best way to play the game. Anyway, enough of DK64. Let's go back to Banjo. Unlike Mario 64, which kicked you out of the level every time you collected a star, Banjo let you stay. You can collect almost everything in a level in one go. This created a seamless flow of exploration. You weren't repeating the same 5 minutes of gameplay every single time. You were dissecting a world. This is one of those things that it didn't really click with me. When I was playing the game. When I think back, holy shit. When I got a star in Mario 64, yeah, the game booted me out of the map and go back in. But in Banjo, I just kept going like nothing. It did not click with me until I was writing the script and trying to do research for this shit. Even just reading it out loud, I'm like, what the fuck? That's crazy. The level design peaked with Click Clock Wood, a single forest level that you visit across 4 different seasons. You plant a seed in spring, water it in summer, and climb the fully ground tree in autumn. It was a masterpiece of 4D level design, showing how players' actions could ripple through time. It remains one of the greatest platforming levels ever constructed. Okay, now this is where another hot take. Not about click clock wood. Click clock. Not about that level. Some of the levels annoy the fuck out of me. Now, saying annoying is more of a skill issue, I guess. Let's go back. Water levels are objectively the worst shit to ever exist, especially in an N64 game. So something like fucking Clanker's Cavern and Rusty Bucket Bay, I hated those shits, man. Oh my god, they were so annoying. Like, they're not hard levels. Like, it's a game for babies, and a baby game for in the 90s. So that shit was easy as fuck. It's just annoyances, bro. Especially the swimming. That is so cringe. Like, I hated this. The camera was terrible. The movement was ass. The only time you can actually control Banjo is when you're swimming at fucking 1 centimeter an hour. Like, it's so fucking slow. It's annoying. The other levels weren't as annoying. I guess Freezy Peak, the only annoying thing is the slippery ice, but like in any game there's ice, it's gonna be slippery, who cares? It's not really a detriment to my gameplay experience, you know. But I do like the themes and the level design, especially because, you know, it's a 3D platformer. Like, a 3D platformer is not a 3D platformer without good level design and like the theming of the world. Every world has to be fucking distinct. So Banjo-Kazooie did. I'm not saying, okay, Clanker's Cavern and Rusty Bucket Bay, as much as I hate them for being annoying, it's pretty good design. Like, they're nice levels to look at. Like, the theming it's amazing. It's art. It's really great. It's just the gameplay aspect of it is just annoying, bro. If I'm being completely honest, I don't think I have a favorite level. I know people have like their favorite levels in these type of games. Maybe because I don't have that childhood connection. I never built one, and because I only played this game once completely through. But yeah, I'm not like a complete hater. And speaking of annoyances and, you know, bad shit in the game, we have to mention the pain point. On the original N64 cartridge, if you died, your note score for the level reset. You had to collect all 100 notes in a single life to get the maximum score. It was brutal, arguably unfair. I did say I was going to come back to the note score thing from the beginning of the video. Also, since I never played on Xbox, I had no idea this was a thing, but apparently the Xbox Live Arcade version of the game fixed that. Because people, I guess I'm not the only one that's complaining about it. Again, I'm hella late to the game, literally late to the game for Banjo, so I had no idea that people actually did not fucking like this. I thought it was just accepted that, well, it is what it is. That's part of Banjo. But no, people hated that shit because they fixed it in Xbox Live Arcade. But I played the N64 version of the game on the PC port from GitHub, and they had an option, like I said before, where you can either play with the old school way that did not save your notes, they fucking disappeared, and save your notes every time you die, because collecting them again after you died is just a pain in the ass. It's not fun. Like, you can be, oh, but that's not, you know, that's not right, that's not how the developers made it. I don't give a fuck, bro. The developers can suck my dick. That shit is so dumb. Having to recollect everything you did just because you died is just an annoyance. And it's something that they could have, you know, fixed for the original N64 release, because when you die, your jiggies are still saved, but everything else vanishes. If you're gonna compare it to Mario 64, Mario doesn't lose anything when he dies, except for a life. Your power stars don't get removed, but also, to be fair, there was something else to collect in the game, so that's a bad example. But again, even Banjo itself doesn't delete everything you do. Like, the most important thing of the game is the jiggy, and they don't disappear when you die. I honestly, like, I'm getting way too negative about this. It's just a minor inconvenience, but it's just, you know, it was bad game design, let's be honest. Moving away from game design and the negativity that came with it, we can't talk about Banjo without talking about Grant Kirkhope. His soundtrack is the soul of the game. It's whimsical, catchy, and deeply melodic, utilizing very unique rhythms that feel like a twisted nursery rhyme. But the technical innovation was adaptive audio. As you walked into a cave, the music didn't cut, it seamlessly faded into a muffled, echoey arrangement. Dive underwater and it becomes harpy, heavy and slow. This kept the immersion unbroken. And his music, his soundtrack is something that resonates with me pretty well because, again, I played DK64, so every time his music just played in my ears, I just thought back to N64, which is, you know, backwards for most people because Banjo did come up before DK64. But to me, it just makes me think and reminds me of DK64 and how, you know, the music is just so good. This guy is fucking talented as fuck. His music was just so unique and it really felt like something from the 90s and from a 90s video game. Like, it just was... I don't know what to say, honestly. Like, apart from like running the script, but just talking out of my ass, I don't know what to say because it's one of those things you kind of have to experience yourself. But yeah, goated guy, goated soundtrack. And like a lot of old school games, voice acting wasn't really a thing, and we're not gonna talk shit or whatever because the hardware limitations, you know, that's just the way it was. Due to memory limitations, the N64 cartridge, Rare couldn't use full spoken dialogue. Instead, they invented mumblespeak. Every character had a looped sound, bite-pitched up or down. It was a workaround that became an aesthetic. Gruntilda the Witch, who speaks entirely in rhyme, is one of the most charismatic villains in gaming history, purely because of her writing and that distinct gravelly mumble. Although I do like the quote-unquote voice acting, it does get a tiny bit annoying at some point. Like, it is charming, it is, you know, whimsical, like the entire point of the game, but it did get a tiny bit annoying after a while, because after a while you're just like, okay, I get it, these people just don't speak and they're, again, mumble talking. So for most part I kind of just speed ran the dialogue. I just held B, or in this case X, because I was using an Xbox controller. So it's charming, it's whimsical, but it does get annoying after a while. The game concludes not with a dungeon, but with a game show, Gruntilda's Furnace Fun. It tested you not on your reflexes, but on your memory of the game itself. It asked you about visual details in the levels, the sounds characters made, and even personal trivia about the witch's sister, Brentilda. It was a celebration of the journey you just completed. Now, I will be honest, this caught me off guard. I was like, what the fuck is happening? It was okay, I guess. It would have been better if I, like, paid attention to every single detail that game threw at me. Because some of the questions I was like, what the fuck? Who the fuck is this character? What is happening? So some of the questions were like, you had to be taking notes essentially when playing the game. I clearly wasn't. So this shit was like not hard. It was just like, bruh, I have to like Google answers or what the fuck? Again, this is a more skill issue. The actual concept of it is pretty fun. It's pretty cool. It's pretty unique and extremely fucking rare. You know? Get it? Because they did the same thing with DK64, kind of. They did a boxing match with King K. Rool. That was fucking fun. Yeah, that's one of the best parts of the game is the actual boss fight. So Rare does know how to make unique and very interesting boss fights with their villains. The ending also teased a legendary stop and swoop, secret items that were supposed to be transferred to the sequel Banjo-Tooie by swapping cartridges, but it never worked due to hardware revisions, becoming one of the game's greatest urban legends. Yeah, I had no idea what the fuck any of this was until I actually played the game, obviously. Especially when I was at Freezy Peak, whatever the fuck it's called. And I saw this giant fucking floating key. I was like, what the fuck is that? How do I get that? And I was too curious, so I googled it. And wait, does that have to do anything with this? Am I just talking on my ass? Anyway, going back to the main point. Yeah, stop and swoop didn't work. after the original game, more games came out. I haven't played them, but from what I know, Banjo-Tooie was bigger, it was darker and more complex. Some people, according to what I saw online, didn't really like it. Banjo-Tooie isn't really the best compared to the first one. That's what people are saying. And then there was the Microsoft acquisition that gave people nuts and bolts. That was, from what I read, from what I see, people shit on it, but apparently if you actually played it, it was, according to people, it's actually kind of fun. But again, haven't played it. I don't know. And then obviously, the more years came by, the genre died. You know, 3D platformers became extremely rare, mostly relegated to really small indie projects like at the time, or remakes of the older games. Banjo-Kazooie remains a masterclass in 2D platforming. It stripped away the loneliness of Mario 64 and replaced it with a vibrant, living world filled with eccentric characters. It perfected the collection loop, turning a scavenger hunt into an adventure. And that's something that really makes you think, because when I go back and really reflect on the gameplay, the game that I played, comparing it to its predecessor, the one that started it all, N64 is hella fucking barren. And that's also why there's a lot of you know, those fucking creepypastas or conspiracy theories, how like N64 is haunted or there's someone following you and shit like that. And it really makes you think, like, even as a kid, I was kind of scared of Mario 64 because it was so empty. It was lonely. The worlds themselves weren't as lonely or empty, but the actual hub world, it just felt eerie. But that's a topic for another day. It is a game from a time when British humor, googly eyes on rocks, and a bird living in a backpack were the height of interactive entertainment. It is still, whether you're playing on an N64 controller that ruins your palm, or in 4K on Xbox, the magic of Spiral Mountain hasn't faded a bit. Just watch out for Rusty Water in Rusty Bucket Bay, because that level was ass. But yeah, that's the end of the video. Thanks for watching. What was your favorite world in Banjo-Kazooie? Did you love the swimming mechanics? Do you think they were goated? Let me know in the comments, you know, if you what you like, what you didn't like, any criticisms of the game or of the video. Like and subscribe. Yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.